Yes, guys, this is part two of going from the beginner to elite shape, where I talk about in depth how you can actually do this. So, in part one, we covered basically the setup phase, the different phases that you should be in, how long it will take, and nutrition in depth. Now, we're going to talk about training, the exercises that I'll be giving if you only can go gym 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. How you train, I'll go through a form clip that I've done. So we'll eliminate and include the main things such as tempo, range of motion, arm pathway, and intensity that you need to apply across all your lifts if your goal is to build muscle, which you want, which most of you we establish you're on a recon phase. And we'll also talk about like plateaus a little bit in terms of if you're not getting stronger when you're in your dieting journey or bulking journey as well, which I'll talk about a little bit briefly. So let's talk about how you need to train. Guys, the biggest factor, the biggest reason how people build muscle is due to mechanical tension. That's how you build muscle. Mechanical tension is basically tension produced on the muscles when it's going against load. So therefore, as to build muscle, you have to raise the tension because basically the stimulus, the level for you to actually damage the muscle, it thickens, it gets harder each time because obviously your body's trying to survive, right? So therefore, this is where the term progressive overload comes in, where if you have heavier load, it's going to produce more tension via stress on the muscle, damage it, which will grow bigger if you obviously get enough protein, which will help with that, and obviously sleeping like a baby, 7 to 9 hours. So if the goal is mechanical tension, we want to first talk about what split is the best split for you. Now, it all dictates about your training age. Training age is basically how much muscle you got. So if you have zero muscle, your training age, you're a baby, mate. So therefore, um, if you're a beginner, you haven't touched the gym, for less than like 3 months or at all, then you're gonna be assigned to a 2 or 3 day split, or as many days you can go. If you can go 4 or 5 days, great, because then we'll talk about the different reps that you should be assigned, which when I'll show you the split. If you've been to the gym for about like probably 1.5 15 months and above or over a year, you're intermediate, and then advanced 2 years plus. So you would have good muscle tissue, like not bodybuilder but you're big. So before like let's go into the split, and then this we'll talk about rep ranges, straight sets, top sets, back of sets, all this fancy stuff, as well as then we'll go into the actual tempo, range of motion, arm pathway. Now if you only have 2 days in the gym, like you're a busy adult, you're working an office job, you run a business, we get it. We have some kind that run a split. We're going to give you a full body A, full body B. So this basically is training every muscle group twice a week. It's enough stimulus. Like the optimal, the minimum dosage or volume sets you need for every muscle is 6. So this has it. We start with the beginner exercises, working all the function of the body, such as, you got knee bend, vertical pull, you got horizontal adduction, shoulder flexion, elbow extension, everything. So these are the main cash money movements that you need if you want to work every body part, which is aesthetic. Now, it's not about the exercises, like we could, it's not about, the exercises or how much you're doing, frequency, volume. It's about how you train, guys. So this is a 2 day split that you can use. Now, if you are a beginner, you are doing straight sets. Straight sets is basically you'll have the same rep ranges for all 3 sets. Because you are a beginner, literally any stimulus, any like volume will work with you guys. That's why it's very easy to build muscle when you're a beginner. Like even if you're doing the exercise poorly, like your form's off, because your muscle is, resisting against load, that tension is just enough to stimulate muscle. This is why the beginner or rookie games, newbie games is the term that you've probably heard. It's very easy. Again, tempo, I'll talk about this, but it's basically, 3 seconds on the way down, 1 second pause at the bottom, 0 seconds on the way up, 1 second at the top. And this basically doesn't build you muscle, but will help you maximize that mind to muscle connection. The mind to muscle connection doesn't build your muscle, but it just helps you feel and connect well with the movement, guys. Which is very, very important if we're trying to target one muscle group, which is very important when you're doing exercises. You just want to focus, how can I keep everything locked in and stable and just focus my muscle that I'm working. For example, let's talk about the lat pull down. You're just working your lats, right? And it runs across your back, your spine like a V shape. So therefore, the function of the lat pull down is basically your elbows needs to go down to your hip, because that's how your lats work. It originates basically around hip and it inserts onto your humerus. That's the function. So therefore, elbow to hip, you want to keep your back nice and stable. You don't want it moving, otherwise then your elbows is going flared out. It turns into an upper back exercise. Do you understand? So it's very important to keep, every time you're doing exercise, think, how can I keep everything locked in and stable, and just focus on the function of the muscle that is working. And this is why I will go through in later videos every exercise in depth, the function, the anatomy, how to feel this muscle even more if you're struggling to connect well with it. So yeah, you have 3 top sets that you're always going to send it 8 to 12. And then rest time 2 minutes. Like anything less, you're fine. Unless it's like isolation exercises, you can have 1.5 minutes. You'll be good at that. But make sure your heart rate comes down. That's the main factor in terms of what rest time, what works best for you. Make sure your heart rate comes down below 120. Then full body PB, again, you can have a screenshot of that. Pause the video. Now, if you only can go 3 days in the gym, this will be your split. A bit more similar, a bit different, more exercises. Again, it's the same thing. But as you know, as you get more advanced in the gym, you can either keep the split the same, or you can actually change certain exercises to challenge the muscle in different lengths. But you can only build as much muscle as long as you recover from it, guys. So make sure you listen to your body. If you're waking up sore continued throughout the whole week, then that's a sign that you're doing too much volume. So make sure, if you're gonna, if you want to bring up a weak body part, and again, I'll talk about this in depth, like how to bring up weak body parts. Like if you want to bring up more of your chest, for example, you're doing about 3, 6, 9 sets for your chest. If you want to bring up your chest, you could probably add another chest exercise. That could be a flat chest press machine for another 3 sets. So that's already 12 sets. And then play around, see how you feel, and then you can keep rinsing and repeating until you get sore, or you recover. So that's full body 3 times a week. And then this is an optional day that I give some of my clients, but show their arms, or this could be another full body day if you like. Now, 4-day split. So this is full body push, full body pull with a bit more advanced exercises. So for the intermediate here, again, a bit more volume. But again, everything works. It's about how you train. Now, if you're intermediate / advanced, where I think most of you might be in this category, then you need to be training with true intensity, especially on the recomp. If we're trying to lose fat, build muscle, what we're doing, we're having 1 top set, 2 back off sets. Now, again, what's the point of this? This will help concentrate our training effort. Since we're on a diet, we don't have as much energy. So therefore, if we do 3 straight sets, our level of intensity, our standard, is probably going to diminish by the 2nd or 3rd set, because we're conserving energy, right? So if we can psychologically change your mindset with having 1 top set, you're going to send it in your 1st set every exercise. So therefore, you're going to look at your logbook and be like, I need to beat what I did last week. More reps, more load. You're more likely to do that if you're fully sending it for 1 top set. And then the fatigue that you accumulated from that 1st set, you're going to decrease the load by 20%. And this is going to be your back off set, 12 to 15, where it's high rep ranges, but it matches the fatigue that you developed from the 1st set, guys. So now we're training smartly and effectively, and you'll still be producing good mechanical tension, because I'm telling you, high rep range, like if you train like this, you're going to feel it. Like these back off sets, you will feel it. And obviously, when you're on a diet, the main concern isn't really like getting stronger week on week. It is, try to beat as much as you did, but especially in the back end of your diet, it's not really that important. It's normal to lose a rep or 2, maybe a kilo, but apart from that, that's fine. If your main money movements, like your compound, your incline, your chest, your shoulder, if that doesn't go down, it's a good sign that you're not losing muscle at all. But like I said, if you lose a rep or 2, it's fine. As well as there's different ways to measure progress in terms of, did you beat what you did last week through more reps, more load, or how you actually performed the movement? Was it a bit slower on the way down? Did it look like you was in more control? There's a whole lot of ways. So yeah, guys, that is basically a full body pull probably push for a 4-day split. So you can see again with the isolation exercises, there's a top set as well, so 8 to 12. High rep range, because it's isolation, it takes a bit more reps you need to do to actually reach that failure. That's why it's there. Again, you could have 1:30 rest time and then 12 to 15 for the back off set. Now, if you're like me and you're very advanced, you won't need that much stimulus. Like this could be for you guys that want fat loss phase. Your goal is to like literally maintain muscle tissue. Maybe build a little bit of muscle, depends how long you actually need to cut. But here you won't need, because your training intensity is already mastered. You know how to train to true intensity, and your tempo, your range of motion, your execution, your arm pathway is spot on. Then train like this. You have 1 top set, 2 back off sets, and it's basically 2 sets of everything, guys. Arms and delts is the same, but with the isolation exercise is a bit more volume. Legs is the same as well. Obviously, the lag and body parts, you can add more volume to that. Same with upper day, guys. So here is my full split, or if you are advanced, you know. But make sure, yeah, you have your tempo, range of motion, intensity spot on. Now, again, if you're intermediate, advanced, or even if you're a beginner, you could run with a split. But remember, if you're a beginner, you'll be doing 3 straight sets. So not 6 to 10, 12 to 15, it's 8 to 12 for everything, you know? And then, yeah, if you're intermediate, advanced, you could do this. You could do this split. Again, if you're advanced, you could do this split, but 2 sets on everything, 1 top set, 1 back off set. But if you're intermediate, which probably most of you are, run this. This is very good dosage, training every muscle group twice a week. You got a whole lot of sets in there, about 10 sets minimum for most of your upper exercises, except from legs, but it's still good volume. But yeah, push, pull, legs, chest and back, delts and arms, and then you rest the remaining days. So that is the split itself. I'm going to show you a form clip now of the tempo, range of motion, arm pathway, intensity that you should be applying across all your lifts. Now here's something called the incline chest press machine. This obviously works the upper chest, you're biasing. So therefore, you know, let's talk about tempo. Again, like I said before, you always want to have 3 seconds on the way down. This will just help concentrate the muscle that we're really trying to work. And this, if we're training slower and we're controlling the negative, this will help concentrate our arm pathway, you know, in terms of getting the good amount of range of motion as well. So let's talk about it. So you're going to have your arms 45 degrees in it as well. This is another cue with the chest, because we don't want to damage our shoulders, because that's not really how the shoulder works. We'll press up, normal. So this is the easiest at the top. And then we come slow on the bottom. See how I pause at the bottom? I'm stretching my chest apart. That's when what you want to think. In terms of like your range of motion, you want to go as deep as possible, because if you go as deep as possible, you're stretching the muscle, and that's how you're going to apply more tension. Remember, the goal is mechanical tension. So therefore, if we're getting as max mechanical tension as possible in this position where it's the hardest, so therefore, because torque, which is basically a distance from your elbow joint, or you know, your chest to the load, is the moment arm is the longest. So therefore, we want to pause a second here to really cash in that money in terms of, you know, stretching that muscle apart. So this is why I'm saying, if you slow down the rep, you can concentrate, pausing and not just using momentum to lift the weight up, which will then lose tension of the chest a little bit, because then you're using your shoulders, your traps, etc. Do you understand where I'm coming from, guys? Yeah, I pause at the top as well. I'm controlling the way on the down, and I'm not milking. I'm not going slow like a lorry reversing, am I? I'm just, you know, controlling the negative, pausing at the bottom. And in terms of my arm pathway, my arms are 45 degrees in, and what you want to think is, again, I'm going to talk about later in depth how every muscle group works, but the chest, it originates on the sternum, the midline of your body, inserts onto the upper arm. So therefore, the function is bringing your arm to your chest. Yeah, you do. If you do this right now, you're going to feel your chest squeeze. So therefore, when you're doing a chest press movement or a dumbbell press, think of converging your arm to your midline of your body. Don't think of pressing up. That's how you're going to use your shoulders, have your elbows flared out. So look, I'm just thinking, and this is how I got my last rep in the end. So if you just watch this, my elbows 45 degrees, and I'm pausing at the bottom, and I'm also, because I want to maximize, I'm trying to isolate one muscle, the chest. I'm pinning my shoulders back. Yeah, you can see my back is pinned against the wall. Yeah. And then look, that last rep, I literally just put my arm stayed in the same position and I just converged my arms together. And then I couldn't get this last rep because, yeah, that is a true level of intensity, guys. And then, yeah, the last thing is intensity. Like the last rep, like you saw here, should take about 3 to 5 seconds, guys, minimum. 3 seconds minimum. If your last rep ain't looking like these, and then you try go for it one more, you're not training hard enough. There's no point me telling you all of this, tempo, range of motion, if you are not training with intensity, pardon me, because the goal is mechanical tension. Remember, your muscles will adapt, they will thicken. So therefore, the level to actually push past to damage the muscle gets harder. So you need to train harder, guys. Yeah, most of you are pussies in the gym. You tickle the weight, and this is why you have a small chest, small shoulders, everything, guys. You know, so this is free game, literally. Now, cool, I've talked about most of the topics, so straight sets, topper sets, tempo, range of motion, arm, power, intensity, weight, reps, execution. You know how to execute the movement. So look, you already know most and more people. Most people don't even know this, yeah? Yeah, so like if you're on a bulk, so you're trying to, your goal is to build muscle week on week. If there's no progress for like 2 weeks straight in terms of your numbers haven't increased, your range of your weight hasn't increased, and you want to increase food by 200 in the forms of calories. Again, I'll make another separate video of bulking very, very in depth, but that's the rule of thumb. So make sure it's increased by carbs around the workout, because remember, food is a tool to support gym flow performance. Now, let's talk about cardio. So in a body recomp phase, you're also going to be doing cardio. Like if you're on a bulking phase, you need to do cardio 60 minutes across the week for heart health, nothing else. So that's 20 minutes times 3. But in a recomp phase, where the goal is to lose fat, build muscle, as well as fat loss phase is the same. Remember, priming, it will stay at 20 minutes for the whole week. But yeah, recomp, you're going to set up 20 minutes of cardio every day, 7 days a week. So it's 140 minutes across the whole week. And the goal will be to elevate your heart rate. So stop listening to these fancy routines or whatnot. Just make sure you program 20 minutes daily, 7 days a week, get your heart rate between 120 to 30. You can use low impact machines. So you want to start with an incline treadmill because this is low impact on the joints, and it doesn't come at a high cost of fatigue, which is perfect if you are a beginner and you're starting your recomp dieting journey, guys. So this cardio, it will increase the deficit. So there's 2 ways to lose fat. So you know when I talked about the deficit between food, 200 calories below my maintenance, that's not enough to make me lose fat, innit? 1 kg. Well, this is complemented with cardio, you know, as well as NEAT. You know, you're going to be hitting 10k steps every day as well, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is a great way to lose fat because you can do it every day walking. So you can get a walking pad, because I know it's winter time soon, so it will be a bit colder. But yeah, start with the incline treadmill, and then as you get fitter, let's say you're halfway through your journey, you could swap to a cross trainer. And basically the hierarchy between different cardio machines, where Stairmaster being the most vigorous, incline treadmill being the less vigorous, is just literally a matter of your fitness. When it gets harder to elevate your heart rate between 120 and 30, or you're not sweating as much, or the weight is not moving as much, that's when you can actually progressively overload to the machines. So that's the rough rule of thumb of what machines you should be doing. So Stairmaster, I always give it to my clients in the last like 6 weeks, back end of the dieting phase, to really elevate that heart rate. Now, if you have swimming, football, paddle, this is okay. So keep it once, twice a week max, because swimming and football, they're not the best form of cardio. I mean, any form of cardio is good because it will, if it's the most enjoyable, you can do it every day, yes. But swimming and football, when you're in the back end of the dieting phase, or you're halfway through when it starts to get tough, it's it will spike appetite, and it will impact, cortisol, in terms of you may be a bit more sore on your body because you have to move more, especially with football, paddle, and it's more higher impact on the joints. So therefore, this is why I say start with lower impact cardio machines like the incline treadmill or even the bike urge before you do swimming or football every day, guys. It's also with the low impact machines, the heart rate is steady, whereas swimming and football is stop, start, stop, start. So yeah, also when you're in the back end of your dieting phase, when 10k step, as you lose fat, you're going to get lighter. So doing more sets becomes less counterproductive. So you could wear a weighted vest to help, burn more calories. So let's talk about our rate of loss now. So this is your progress to actually how you lose fat, to lose a kilo a week, to get in a timeline. So your weekly average wants to, if you're gonna go for a slower approach, so it'll take double the time. You could do 0.5 kg a week. That's fine. But if you want to, this is the rate of loss that I follow with my transformations. So it's 0.7 to 1 kg a week, which is normal. Anything more than that, you'll probably lose a bit muscle. Depends how responsive you are. Like if you're losing more than 1 kg a week and you're on a fat loss phase, you already got muscle, don't worry about it because you're very responsive to fat loss is a good thing. But anything more, if you're a beginner, intermediate, then you should be a bit worried. But 0.7 to 1 kg is fine. So therefore, what you want to do is you want to be weighing yourself every day so you can get the weekly average. That's the only thing that matters because your weight will spike up across the week. Fluctuations are normal due to something called water weight. There's a whole lot of reasons, such as like if you slept late at night, you only got 4 hours. If you ate late at night, which means your body didn't have the time to digest all the food, therefore count as water weight. If you had a high stress, high cortisol argument, that would be water weight. There's a whole lot of factors. Sometimes I've seen it with clients where they've had water weight 1 kg, it stayed the same for the whole week, and then they drop down after a week, guys. So this is why I'm saying focus on the weekly average. Don't make rational changes, because if you're sticking to everything 100% adherent, don't be stressed, you know. So therefore, this is why it's very important to track your calories, track your data, track your sleep, track your cardio, everything. More data is the better because if you don't have any data, then you won't have no decisions to base on what you should change if things aren't working. But in terms of the rate of loss as well, when to make changes when you've been plateauing. So with the recomp phase, you always want to ask yourself, have you been 100% adherent? If not, keep everything the same because then the plan wasn't your fault, it was you, which you mentally need to change that. And mindset is the biggest thing, which I'll talk about in the next part. But yeah, if you have been 100% adherent to everything, then you need to make one change at a time. So my recommendation, I remember when my recomp phase for most of you, same with the fat loss phase, you can do the same. Make the change to cardio first. So you could do 20 minutes to 30 minutes by 10 minutes and then reassess a full week. Did you lose weight that week? If you have, then you look back at the formula. No, so keep everything the same. If you didn't lose weight, then but you were 100% adherent, then you need to make another change. So you could do it by cardio. So now you're on 40 minutes, and then you want to keep increasing cardio. So let's say to a respectable amount, like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, or when you don't have a lack of time before food. Why? Literally because in the recon we want to keep food as high as long as possible to support gym flow performance as high as possible. Remember. So therefore, this is what I'm saying when we go back to baking a cake analogy. We want to dial our levels very tactically, strategically. Yeah. So the higher you can keep your food up, the better. And then when you have to lower lower food, you can do it in the forms of 200 calories, no more than that. And you want to do it in the forms of fats because it holds the most calories. Remember how we talked about in the nutrition section. And then when you lower calories, again, you could do it from carbs away from your workout by 200. So then keep repeating, making one change at a time, guys. And then when you're getting in the back end of the dieting phase, about like 13, 12, and you're trying to get the last layer of body fat, stopping belly fat 10%, this is when you can do refeed the outputs, which is a good tool to help you continue losing body fat, which I'll talk about in the next section of how to run a refeed, when should you run a refeed, if you should do a refeed, same with the outputs and also deload. So that's the second part. If you guys enjoy this, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.